and welcome to the Dark Side of Soul podcast. This is Joe.
And this is Shawn.
And with us is our good friend and the magic of everything we do is Ron Chang.
Hi.
Part of Team Josh Arona. Joe Sharona.
It's an honor to be here.
It's great to have you on. Finally, we've been trying to bug you to get on the show for a long time.
No, he's been bugging us to come on for a long time.
I've been bugging him to get on.
You've been bugging me to do the Soul podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's revive the Soul podcast. I'll get you a microphone. You can do it. Anyway,
Joe.
That's something to talk about offline. Today we're going to talk about Squid Game 2. This might be a two-parter. I think we're going to have a lot to unpack on this. We're mostly going to talk about Korean cultural elements. But first, we're going to talk a little. Just remind you that you can find us on social media over at Facebook or Instagram, mostly at Dark Side of Soul. And we also run a Dark Side of Soul Ghost Walk at darksideofsoul.com. And you can also get our wonderful comics on there. See, I'm front-loading today. I forgot to front-load. I always do this at the end of the episode, and that's when everyone turns it off.
Definitely.
But Shawn, you have an update for us.
Yeah, just real quick update. So in our episode we did now a couple of weeks ago about I guess it would be last week.
Last week, the Parasite episode.
Did the episode about what was the title? Did she really kill her father? Yeah, about Parasite.
Yes.
And so we mentioned at the beginning of that episode the main focus was Kim Shin-hae and that case, and how we had prepared for that episode, knowing that a retrial result was going to come out, and then the retrial was postponed, and then we just recorded anyway. And we recorded because I had been wanting to do that episode since year one, actually, but I knew a retrial was in the works, and so we waited, and then it ended up getting postponed on the day that we were expecting to hear the results. We were ready for the episode. We just recorded anyway. And the retrial did go ahead on January 6th. And the result is that she was found not guilty. So after almost a quarter century in prison, she is now free. But there are a few things that are not clear now. Now we still have a mystery. Who killed her father? And what role still did she have in it? This doesn't necessarily mean that she's entirely innocent. She still may have had some sort of role to play. And so it's not finished. It's actually just starting again. So retrial and the result of it has meant that the whole situation, the mystery, has started over. So we'll follow this with bated breath. See what happens.
Well, hold on. We're typing this in really fast so that we remember to say this. So we are going to talk about the phenomenon that has been coming out, Squid Game 2, Season 2. Warning you right now, heavy spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and watch it and then come back. But we're going to talk about it.
With that in mind, full disclosure, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. Shawn hasn't seen it.
Yeah. I really, really didn't like the first season. I thought it was terrible. The
whole season, or just the
whole thing. It was absolutely awful. And this isn't the place to get into why I didn't like it. But I can articulate why I didn't like it. And I can
articulate why it wasn't that. In hindsight, I was really liked it when it first came out, but as I chewed on it, I was liking it less and less.
Yeah. So just my two big problems with it was that three. Terrible pacing, and this is a problem I have with streaming television. They're written so bad that the pacing is just really, really off.
Okay.
So from a writing perspective, I think it's terribly written. Characters are terribly written. There's no sympathetic characters worth remembering. And
okay.
no, I didn't like anyone. No. I know you're gonna say like the Indian guy.
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't. The problem is, I think one thing that I don't like about Parasite now that it's a franchise is that it was supposedly commenting on capitalism and the whole concept of how people get into dire straits and they'll do anything to get out of those straits.
Mm-hmm.
That was what it's supposed to be commenting on. And I've said previously, it's like, I don't think the first season did that. I think it did a shit job at kind of trying to project that as its commentary. I thought it was really poor in doing that. And now that it's a franchise and you see Squid Game everywhere, even on like packages of like frozen mandu from Bibigo.
Yeah, the irony of this.
It's completely embraced capitalism. So the show doesn't mean anything anymore. It's complete nonsense. So I'm not interested in season 2.
It's like getting Communist Manifesto M&Ms.
Yeah, WWs. So and then so I'm not interested in season 2, but when you brought it up that there's a lot of cultural things that we could discuss that may be interesting to discuss from those cultural points.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. I'm still not going to watch the season, but and this is one of the main reasons we brought Ron on, because we needed someone else who did see season 2.
Yeah. And the general consensus from a lot of people is they weren't as excited. The people that like season 1 are not as, they're kind of mad about season 2. One guy said, is because they felt that season 1 was lightning in a bottle. It's hard to catch it twice. But personally, I thought season 2 was a little more psychological. I think it was very much it was a debate between Gi-hun and the front man about, it was kind of like a John Locke, Thomas Hobbes debate of, is man essentially good or is man essentially evil? When I say man, I mean humankind. And so each one is trying to prove to the other what this is. And as of now, it's kind of looked like the Hobbes side, the frontman side, is winning at the end of this. But we'll see. I didn't like. We all know I have an aversion to gory violence or cynical violence. I don't like cynical violence. Just violence for violence's sake, which is why I'm not a big fan of early Tarantino, even though I like Tarantino now. Or that whole 90s wave of independent films that just have gory violence on people for no reason, just because we can.
I don't mind that stuff at all.
Yeah,
I doesn't bother me.
I don't like it. I have a high empathy factor, so I can feel other people's pain when I watch these things.
I feel like it was much more gorier than season 1. I mean,
oh really? No,
really?
I didn't think so.
I mean, I think when season 1 was released, it was during COVID, and people were dying off, and it was kind of like similar to people dying off because of COVID. So it didn't really really affect me that much. But now that we're back to normal, and it's and then just I feel like there's much more blood in season 2.
Really? Well, maybe it's a tension or something. There's something about there were points where I was skipping ahead when it was really tense and I didn't know who was going to die. And I was just okay.
I didn't find it gory at all. And I think that's just because I enjoy Euro trash films and stuff like that, Euro sleaze and stuff that are gory, and they're sometimes it's a tongue-in-cheek goriness to it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I get that, but for me, it's cynical. It's when it's done cynically. I think Hunger Games is very cynical in its violence.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
I read the books. I read all the books and everything. Didn't. Yeah.
A bit of a spoiler. The difference between the start of season 1, the start of season 2. In season 1, they went directly into the games. But in season 2. The first 3 episodes or the first 2 episodes were just us, an introduction to the season.
Thank you for saying that, Ron, because that's basically what we're going to talk about in the first part of the first 2 episodes, because that has the most stuff that we can actually chew on, because it actually spends most of its time in Seoul.
That sounds like more shit pacing to me. You don't need 3. And how long are the episodes?
Around an hour.
Yeah. Shit, 3 hours to set. Okay. 3 hours to set up your story. They need better writers, man.
I kind of enjoyed it.
But I can't comment on I haven't, like I said, I don't know. I just can't.
I think you would.
I don't know.
I think you would appreciate season 2 more, because it's there's more of a story.
Yeah, but you're not selling it to me though, saying it takes 3 hours to get into the whole point of the show. I mean, that just like 3 hours. I can watch Lord of the Rings in 3 hours, and I can get an entire story or a third of a story, I guess, really. But the one part of a story in that, I don't know. See, that kind of thing, that just turns me off of streaming television. Okay. And I think K dramas are the worst offenders of this particular trend in streaming television that I don't like. This what just turns me off. I just don't like them. It takes that long to introduce something. I'll lose interest. I'll lose it. I personally was enjoying that part. So that's fine. Yep. And I can't comment because I haven't seen it. So, but that makes me less interested.
Okay. Anyway, let's start with episode 1. It's called Bread and Lottery, which is a playoff of Bread and Circuses.
Oh.
But the first shot is exactly where we left off the final shot of season 1 with Seong Gi-hun at Incheon Airport. And I tracked down where he was in that first shot with the red hair. He's near the Burger King and the Capsule Hotel, part of Incheon Airport. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing we're going to do a lot. I'm going to point out locations if you ever want to do it, and I'm working on a map that I might make public. I'm locating all where all the locations were shot, as many as I can.
It's actually that offshoot of the airport where they take the airport railway.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Because if you're going on the airport railway, you'll be going on those ramps, those moving walkways going up. That's exactly where he was. Yep. Okay. One scene is remember the other guy, Hwang Jung-ho, the police officer that was looking for his brother in the first season. There's a scene with him and his dad eating Jjajangmyeon, black bean noodles. Just pointing out during that one, he sarcastically goes "chung-song," which I learned you can kind of say it's a sarcastic way of saying like you're being a little bossy, or you're being you're pulling rank too much. Would you say that, Ron? Because you've actually been in the Korean military.
You mean when he was eating the jjajangmyeon with his former captain, or
was that his former captain? I thought that was his dad.
No. It was his captain. It was some. It was his former captain who worked in the what do you call it? Like the gang violence department that he got out of because then now he's just like a beat cop, right?
Yeah. They showed he was a beat cop. They were pointing that out when he was ticketing someone for not wearing a helmet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was really sarcastic. It was just kind of it was a general sign of respect, I guess.
Okay. So my ex-wife told me a long time ago that when I was working for a Korean company that one of the younger staff members and I had a private meeting with the CEO, and we just started saying, you need to really, we think this company is going in the wrong direction. We think this is the better direction to go. Just take our suggestion. And then one of his underlings was there who's older than us. Well, no, not older than me, but older than her, the young woman. He just chewed into her going you're too young to be talking to the CEO this way. You how dare you break this line? And I mentioned this to my ex-wife and she said, oh yeah, well in those situations you should just go to point out okay, you're pulling rank a little too easily and not listening. Another location place is Okin police station. That's where the police station he's at. It's west of Gyeongbokgung Palace. Love motels. Oh, well, what did you say, Shawn?
That's not the Okin police station. That's a smaller one. A smaller
it's a really
station.
It's a really pretty looking.
Those tiny ones.
It's brick. It's red brick. and it has I think it was obviously picked for its location, and it's just how it looked. It had a pretty cool look.
I think one of those the smaller offices are like the precinct offices, like the patrusol, like the smaller little, like, you know, maybe like at most 6 cops at one of those small little corner offices.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And let's unpack love motels. This is my inspiration to do this, by the way, was the love motels.
Oh.
So basically, Seong Gi-hun, he's hiding out. He basically, it seems like he bought a love motel, but that's where he's basing his operations. And it starts out with this couple walking, and they're trying to go, but no one's answering. And so this is the concept of a love motel. And I get this question a lot because I talk about love motels on my tour. Is who goes to these things? And it does tend to be young couples because a lot of young adults still live with their parents, or they just don't want to take them back to their shitty apartment.
Go to a shitty hotel instead.
Yeah, or where people have affairs. But people think love motels, oh, that's where people have prostitution. I'm like, not really.
I always stayed in those places. Like I think I've mentioned before in some other episodes that when the first 5 years in Korea, when I would travel around to do research and just traveling generally, I always stayed in Yogwons. Always.
I like the hotels. I'm a connoisseur.
They're cheap, and all it needs is a floor. I would always get rooms with, well, not always, but I'd often get rooms with no beds.
Oh no, not that extreme.
I'm talking about in the early 20s. So,
Yogwons and hotels are a bit different, right? Yogwons are like, you know, simply just like somewhere to sleep. Hotels have like amenities, and
you're really cheap if you're taking your girlfriend to a Yogwon.
Yeah.
I mean, love motels, you charge by the hour, basically.
You can get night rates as well.
You get nightly rates, but it's possible to charge by usually 4-hour blocks.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't immediately clear whether the love motel that he was staying at that he bought, or it was just abandoned. But later in the episode 1, it actually said there was a sign that said like closing or for closing, or just it was a closed motel that he just like, an abandoned motel maybe. Yeah.
And we caught the name of the hotel. It's called Pink Motel.
Oh, classic name.
Significant. Yeah, classic, but also because the Squid Game, all the guards are wearing pink.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a thing about that. But Ron, you tracked down the actual motel.
Yeah, it's in Gyeongbokgung. It's called Capri Motel. And a lot of the times, motels or at least that motel, it was in like a dark alley. And usually those motels that are in dark alleys, they're like, karaoke or one of those like adult entertainment facilities attached to the hotel. So
yeah, I was going to point out there. It also said business, Nori Yonsujang.
Yeah, so their business clubs would be there, and then they would go to those love motels to conduct more business.
Yeah, Shawn, we can refer back to our episode on, what was it, clubbing episode, Shawn? We talked about this a little bit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we did.
The business rooms and stuff. Yeah.
A couple of years ago. Yeah. I mean, they're great. I think even the love motels, they have goofy porn on the TVs. If you're that
underwear porn, where they're wearing, where they're simulating acts wearing flesh-colored underwear,
and dry hump porn. And then,
well, it's softcore porn, right?
It's softcore, yeah.
It's really softcore porn. It's funny stuff. Softcore. It's funny. It's not like sensual. It's hardcore porn, but wearing. It looks like hardcore porn, but wearing flesh-colored underwear.
Yeah, they'll have like sex toy machines and stuff like that in some of them I've seen. Yeah,
some of them are really cool. I mean,
And they are cheaper generally to sleep in. Yeah, to stay in. Yeah,
a long time ago.
They used to be. I don't know, but
okay. Yeah. I was hosting a travel show for Arirang TV, and they would always put us up in love motels when we were traveling around. So that's how I became a connoisseur.
Because they're cheap. They put you there because they're cheap. Yeah,
yeah, they're cheap, and it was a cheap production.
If you go to like some of the love motels in like outside Seoul area, they have like vending machines for condoms that are like 500 won for like 3 condoms.
Oh, what a deal!
In the motel. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen sex toy vending machines in them as well, like some dildos and stuff like that.
Well, most love motels will give you this whole package, and that would include condoms and essential oils and stuff, and toothbrushes.
I've never been in one in Seoul. I've only stayed in one when I would travel. I'd be by myself, traveling, going to like a mountain, up to a temple and stuff like that, and I'd always stay in either the love motels or Yagwon, whichever was closest to the bus terminal.
But
if we ever take a road trip, we should stay in a love motel and share a room. All 3 of us.
I've done that with one of my buddies. Yeah, it's hysterical. One of my friends
not want to share a room with me.
One of my buddies. We were at one. One of my buddies. He went into. He came down. It was three or 4 of us, and he came down and he's like Morrissey, come here. And then he's like, check this out. We went to the next floor. He got off the elevator on the wrong floor, and that's where he found the vending machine with the sex toys. And he's like, check this out. And it was a huge purple dildo. And so he's like, fuck, I'm going to buy it. And he bought it. And he snuck it into one of our other buddies' backpacks.
Did it have batteries in it? Did they have to buy
no, it wasn't. No, it was just a rubber dildo.
Oh,
So we were up in. This was in. Where was it? It was in Gongju. It was in Gongju, and so we went up to Gyeongbokgung the next day, and he snuck this huge dildo in the bottom of the other guy's backpack. And we came down from the hike to have our hasanju, our booze and our food after hiking. And he reaches down in his backpack. He says, my wallet's here somewhere. And he was like, the fuck is this? right in the middle of the restaurant. And he puts it on the table. And there's this wiggling purple dildo on the table in a restaurant. And this old woman who was serving us, she looks at it and she just didn't say anything. Her eyes got huge. And then she's like, here's your bibimbap.
Did you leave it there or?
No. He took it with, I don't know what happened to it in the end, but he did take it with him.
That's a great story, Shawn. I knew there was a reason we had you on. Yeah, and I think the point of being in the Love Motel was it's a very discreet location. If someone's like, it's kind of a hidden underworld location, kind of showing that he's still in the underworld. He's not living it up. Then since all of his, yeah, he hasn't not moving to the east side.
I don't know if you remember the scene where the couple walks up to the Love Motel and then it's locked. And then the girl says if all the lights are off in the Love Motel, then that means that the Love Motel is full.
Uh-huh.
And then the guy was like, how do you know that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, I wanted to point that out too. Yeah, because trying to point out what you're not a virgin. Yeah. That was kind of the little male gaze there, male chauvinism there. Yeah. Expecting, well, what? You've been with other guys in love motels before? Yeah.
She's like, Tangaraji.
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out, Ron, because I wanted to point that out too.
Oh.
So later on, he has a little meeting with all these. He's gathered all these gangsters from around Seoul, thanks to his the loan shark he used to owe money to. He's now working for him. The loan shark is now working for him, and send them all out to all the subway stations to find the dakji guy. Is there another name we can call the dakji guy?
Maybe the recruiter.
The recruiter. That's a good word.
Yeah.
What do they call him in the show?
I forget.
Is there a name for them?
The man. I just call him dakji guy. But the recruiter sounds really good. Yeah, the recruiter. Send them out to all these subway stations. I freeze framed a lot of these, and I was able to find some. I'm just going to list them out. Hangangjin, Oksu, Dapsimni Children's Grand Park, which they shot most of Gangnam Style. Gongdeok, I only recognize that because I'm there almost every day. Yaksu, No One, Janghanpyeong, and Dobongsan.
His Kongyu's official character name in Squid Game is Dakjinam. So Dakji guy.
So I was right. Dakji guy.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll call him that then. Dakji's the game that they play in the subway station. And also, while they're doing that, I thought that Gi-hun was parked at a really cool area. And it's this parking lot next to Namsan Donkas on Namsan Mountain. Great view of the city. But it's painted differently than it is. I've saw it on the satellite maps. The satellite maps has it as a green parking lot. This one just shows it looks like a rooftop of a building.
If you look at the cityscape from the roof, it actually looks like around Chungmudo or Chungmudo has a view of Chong.
Hwayhyun. That's how I was able to track it down because I saw T-Mark Grand Hotel, which is closed now, no longer in business. I saw that, and from that I was able to place it. There's also Ilshin Church is right near there, which is a very kind of like a old Gothic looking church there. I was able to triangulate where he was from that. Took me a long time. Now the policeman. I'm just going to call people by their titles. This Korea. We're going to call people by their titles than their real names. Out on the ocean, trying to find the island with this fishing boat captain. And I was freeze framing whenever they were going to the map, and I just saw it looked like I wrote down some of the words I saw. Ron, could you double check? They're kind of weird, silly words, aren't they?
I mean, on some of the maps, there were actual names of islands out there. I mean, it was kind of close to Koje Island.
Wow, way south. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see any of these names that are on the notes, but there were actual islands that were, there's an area called Shinan in like South Gyeongsang province.
Wow.
And in that area, there's like maybe over 2,000 uninhabited islands out there. So some of them
makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That's where all the small islands are. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't recognize any of these names, so they're not really funny to you? Because I was getting out the translation. One of them looked like it said Iron Nose or something like that. The Dokdo ones. Is that maybe? But Sui Mori would be like wouldn't that be like Cowhead? Like Somori, Sui Mori?
Or like Iron Head.
Oh, Iron Head.
Iron Head. Okay, see, Iron Head, Iron Nose.
Yep.
What about the Dokdos, Ron? Are there other Dokdos other than the ones I saw on the map? Because we know Dokdo is the disputed territory between Japan and Korea that Korea makes a big deal of, and there's a large Dokdo and a small Dokdo on the map.
No, I don't think those are real.
Okay. So I thought they felt like inside jokes to me. That's why I was pointing it out.
I think there's the only other Dokdo that I'm pretty sure exists that I know for sure. Well, not for sure, but there could be other ones. But there is a very, very tiny Dokdo somewhere on the west coast, and of course it's not the famous one.
Okay, because that's on the east coast.
Yeah. And way
off the east coast.
Yeah, way off the east coast. But this other one that I'm thinking of, that I'm pretty sure is called Dokdo, is just a really tiny. Well, I mean, so it's the famous ones. It's just an islet, really, bunch of rocks. It's somewhere on the right on the coast, like visible from the coast. But that's the only other one that I'm pretty sure I know of.
Okay. I also noted that it was raining. It was obviously summer. We're in the rainy season. Oh, it was showing on the calendar. I think it was August on the calendar, or July. It was July. It was no.
It was July or August. Yeah, because as soon as as soon as Gi-hun found the front or the dakjinam, he remember he found that card that said like meet at the club at Halloween.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but when they were,
must have been
so it must have been a few months because it was Jangma rainy season, both on the southern coast and in Seoul. Which okay, so that was a little thing I pointed out. Now the big thing was major scene happens at Tapgo Park, which is next to Incheon. It's a very famous park. It's the first Western style park in Korea. Oh God, I'm going into my tour guide mode.
You know, I didn't realize there were so many homeless at Tapgo Park.
I think that was exaggerated. There are not. There are not. There used to be. There used to be in the the whole Incheon area. There used to be a lot of homeless, but they've conveniently disappeared.
Yeah, when people say there's no homeless people in Seoul, it's like because they're removed from your site.
Yeah,
there are homeless people in Seoul.
Yeah, that's usually where elderly men hang out. Is Tapgo Park. But
I think there's a lot of people within, like below the poverty line there. Maybe not homeless, but below poverty line.
Yes, definitely. That is true. That is true, and that's where they hang out. And then that's why they have so many signs of do not pee, do not do this, do not do this, because that's where people pee and get drunk and take a poop in public. Is in that area.
You know, I was actually at Tapgo Park yesterday, and the guys, the older men I saw in the park yesterday, they looked pretty, they did look, or they looked a bit more well off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't look like the guys that were playing chess on the other side, where you
contrast. I'm saying
outside the wall.
Yeah, contrast. Yeah. The nighttime denizens are different than the daytime denizens.
Right.
On the inside during the daytime, you would usually find older men practicing their calligraphy, romantic things like that. But at nighttime,
playing Paduk and stuff like that,
yeah, playing games on the outside, which symbolic. Okay, good, symbolic. So Dakjiman, what he does, he buys us 100 lottery tickets and 100 red bean breads, and he offers each one. Do you want a lottery ticket? Or do you want food? And most of them chose food, lottery tickets, and they all lose. And then,
that's a dumb choice.
Yeah, but that's what
food.
That's what he was pointing out. Some of them did choose the bread, but that's the point he was making. That people make really dumb choices, like you're in this situation because of your choice. That was the whole point of that scene. And then he just all the leftover bread he had, he just dumped them all out and stomped on them like a crazy man.
When he gave the lotto tickets to all the people that chose the lottery tickets, he gave them a coin to scratch off the,
Oh, good point. Oh, okay.
It was a 10 won coin, and you don't see too many 10 won coins anymore.
Yeah,
they're minting less and less.
Yeah,
so much to the point where like last year they only minted 40 million coins.
Yeah, because they're like worth 0.01 cents.
Yeah.
More expensive to mint.
Yeah. They used to be I think the bus fare in Korea used to be 10 won, like back in the 70s or 80s.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Inflation.
But they're worth nothing really now.
Yeah, I never see anything that's cost something and 10, like 5,610 won. I never see that cost. Everything's rounded now away from to the closest I guess to the closest 100.
Yeah. That's how it is. You can't do it the other way, because how would you give change? You don't want to bother giving change to that. You had some other stuff you found, Ron.
So those gang members that were with, trying to find the Dakji guy for Gi-hun, they were in the park. They were in Tapgo Park, and they were wondering why the Dakji guy wasn't giving them a choice of bread or lottery ticket. But but one of the guys, he actually said he dreamed of shit the night before. And in Korea, it's like, whenever you dream of shit, then you're supposed to buy a lottery ticket because it's supposed to be a sign of good luck.
That and dreaming of pigs, right? Isn't that?
In a vast body of water. We have a whole episode about dreams.
I think we did
folklore.
That. Yeah. Dream of shit. Yeah. Good old Korea. I love that.
If you look on Naver blogs, there are whole like pages and pages of what kind of shit dreams they are. If it's shit falling from your ceiling, if it's shit coming up from the toilet, what that means. But it's mostly all related to good fortune.
Yeah.
That might be explaining why I don't have good fortune. I've never had a shit dream. Never have. Okay, you also pointed out that the police pulled over Gi-hun. Yeah. That's usually not true. That's usually not common, right, Ron?
Yeah, police in Korea don't really pull people over because everything's regulated by cameras, speed cameras, enforcement, running red lights cameras.
I got pulled over once.
Really?
Once for making a U-turn in an area that used to be legal to do a U-turn on a red light, and then it became illegal to do a U-turn on a red light. And I didn't see that they had changed the lights that time. And cop was right behind me when I did the U-turn and pulled me over.
I actually got ticketed for jaywalking by police like a couple months ago. And it was like it wasn't even like, it was a really small crosswalk, and they're like, but there was a signal, but a cop, walked over and said, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But wrote me a ticket.
It was also the end of the year.
50,000 won.
What?
That's crazy.
Well, it was the end of the year. They needed fundraising time.
Probably he needed to hit his quota.
So by the way, they track him down to right next Jongak Station, which is right near Tapco Park, which is also on my tour. Tapco Park and Jongak Station are on my ghost tour, Dark Side of Seoul tour. And I was just pointing it out. It's Jongak Station, which is the first subway station built in Korea. That little trivia.
Well, that's where isn't that where he first met the Dutchy man, or in season 1?
No, I don't know. I didn't go back to see.
Wow. Or it might have been something else. It might have been like Yangjae Citizens Park or something. I vaguely remember where he met him at the first season.
Okay. Well, it was Jongak Station. And they follow him. He takes a taxi and the gangs follow him. And I tracked down exactly where they tracked him down to. They did not change the signs or anything in this area. It's this little back alley in Guro, which is a little south of Yeouido. I used to live near in that area. And it's if you want to track it down, look there, Guro-gu Children's Traffic Park, which is by the stream. So it is a very light industrial area, kind of a not one shady area, just kind of an industrial area. But it's surrounded by pretty nice areas. So they found like the one grungy area in this neighborhood.
Isn't it by like Shilim area? A
little south of Shilim, where I used to live. Shitlim. But it's honestly that area is not bad. It's a pretty nice area. But I remember when I used to drive back, I used to live in Anyang. So when I was going to Seoul, I passed through Guro, and there was a slight little area where there's a lot of industrial stuff, light industrial stuff, not factories with smokestacks, but machine shops. And so they tracked him down there, and that's where they had the whole where they got the gangsters got beat up, and then where Gi-hun tracked him down to this area, and where they were playing rock paper scissors.
Rock paper scissors, take one out, right? the two gangsters. A big spoiler, but one of the highlights of the first episode, the two gangsters, they were forced to play rock, paper, scissors, take one out, this, and then take one out. And then they just, one of them felt,
and
playing Russian roulette, right?
They're playing Russian roulette. So whoever lost played Russian roulette. Boom. And then we're done with episode 1. Episode 2, Halloween party. Halloween is kind of significant here. It has it's a heavy thing to unpack. You might have heard of the Itaewon crush on Halloween in 2023. Was it 2022?
22. Yeah.
22. Halloween is a fairly new concept in Korea. Shawn will go on a rant how much he hates it in Korea. He loves Halloween and he hates how it is in Korea.
Deplore it. We have whole episodes on that.
Yes.
Go back and listen to our episode, of why Korea doesn't need Halloween. I think it's culturally vapid in Korea, and it doesn't need to be here.
Because Korea has other holidays similar to Halloween that would be more appropriate. That's
ignoring their own holidays to celebrate a European holiday.
Yeah,
in a very vapid way.
I think we talked about it. That the reason it is in the turn of the millennium, there was a big push for foreign English teachers coming here. The big push for English. So a lot of North American English teachers came here, and the after school the Hagwons, the private academies that parents send their children to for English. They tried to make them cultural immersive. So one of the ways was celebrating Halloween, and it's North Americans were showing these kids how they celebrate Halloween, however they could. And then these kids have grown up, and so they want to continue that Halloween as young adults. And so Halloween is very much a clubbing day, going out and partying.
It's just another excuse to drink, right? It's just another excuse to meet your friends and, dress up. And, if you look at the costumes in Korea, they're not very elaborate. You have like a slutty nurse, you have a witch or something.
Off the shelf stuff. Yeah, nothing really.
Yeah.
I mean, in Korea, Tuesday is an excuse to drink.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why so many people were in Itaewon, because people go to Itaewon to see all the costumes, because the expats go all out. They buy Iron Man suits, they buy Captain America suits. And so, families take their kids there to see, that's why some of the victims in the Itaewon Halloween crush were kids, because they were there to see the costumes.
Yeah. That's really sad. Really sad.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a complicated thing to unpack on this episode. So that's why it's really significant. Because I'm sure people are wondering, what, people in Asia celebrate Halloween? Well, some people think the world revolves around their culture and every country celebrates Halloween. And then there are other ones that are like, what, Asia celebrates Halloween? No, the Halloween in Korea is fairly recent, less than 20 years old, I would say. In fact, 10 years, a little over 10 years. Because when I started the Dark Side Tour in 2012, there was no one was doing anything for Halloween. So that's one reason I made it, was so we'd have something to do for Halloween.
I'd argue that the way Halloween is now in Korea is less than 10 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the Halloween party soon, but I want to unpack some stuff first. Someone said, someone mentions, one of the gangsters mentions, says, since I was in the military, just pointing out most men in Korea have to do compulsory military service.
All men have to do compulsory military service, but people try to dodge it.
Yeah.
They get tattoos, or they fake like some skin abnormality that they can't be out in the sun, but everyone has to go,
But tattoos are no longer an excuse, right? Didn't the government drop they dropped that?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, because that was a very easy loophole to avoid.
Yeah, just get a tattoo.
Go to Tokyo for the weekend and get a tattoo. Yeah.
But that's just when they were practicing the shooting. Yeah. And some of them were for special forces.
Oh.
And then Ron voluntarily went into the Korean Navy because he didn't have to, because Ron's Korean American.
Yeah. I just I wasn't thinking back then, but it was a good experience.
I'm glad. I mean, that's really cool that you did it, and I think that really earns some respect for you. I mean, I have lots of respect for you anyway, but that adds to it for me.
Now I have stories to tell to all our guests. I was the Korean military. All the horror stories.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, a lot of those stories are really interesting.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to that about that scene, Ron?
Not so much. No, but one scary thing that a friend pointed out is that because all Korean men go to the military, we all know how to shoot guns. Not all Americans know how to shoot guns, right? Or not all, all of any country knows, but
professionally,
professionally, we know. In the Navy, we are trained with M16 rifles.
Wow.
And different branches of the military are trained with different rifles and machine guns.
Wow. And I've shot guns, but I've never shot an M16.
Yeah. So we learn how to shoot the guns, but we also learn how to disassemble the guns and put them together in record time. So,
just like Forrest Gump. All right.
Yeah. Forrest Gump.
Yeah. There we go. And then another scene that starts off with a parade. And if you looked closely, it was at Seoul Land, which we have a whole episode about Seoul Land. The history of Seoul Land. But I thought it was funny because I'm also from the area where it's a Mardi Gras parade, and I grew up in the area where Mardi Gras originated, and I was like, summer? You're doing Mardi Gras in summer? I just thought that was weird because Mardi Gras is usually around February or March.
Yeah, Mardi Gras is Shrove Tuesday.
Right. Fat Tuesday, Shrove Tuesday, Pancake Day, and
Pancakes Day should be the next day.
Carnival.
Yeah.
If you look at some of these parades at Seoul Land or Lotte World or Everland, and the characters, they're just some of the most random characters, especially Squid Game, you saw those characters and they're not anything, they're not, it's just red turtles.
Yeah, because they really don't have mascots. They really don't have a Mickey Mouse at Seoul Land.
No.
Seoul Land was land that was reserved by the government. Honestly, it has a dark history. It was reserved by the government because they were going to do a nuclear weapons program on that land. And then the U.S. military said, no, you're not. So it was left fallow for a long time. And then when the 88 Olympics was coming up, they decided to turn that whole area into this giant park, which included a theme park called Seoul Land and the zoo. The Seoul Zoo is there. I like the park. I love the park. I think it's so underrated. Seoul Land is very rinky-dink, and I love that it's rinky-dink. It's used a lot in different Korean dramas and movies. I think it's even way back in Sassy Girl. I think there's a scene in Seoul Land. Because they did everything. They ripped off everything. They even have a geodesic sphere like Epcot, and just every little thing they just ripped off from other theme parks and bought most of their rides from a catalog.
I don't think people go to Seoul Land as much because it's not technically located in Seoul. I think it's in Gwacheon.
It's in Gwacheon, but it's connected to the Seoul subway line on line 4.
Yeah.
I used to pass by it all the time. And I have a big place in my heart for that area. I love Seoul Grand Park. It's just a lovely park. Pointing out, two characters we meet in there. One becomes a contestant, the other one becomes a soldier, which you thought that the young North Korean woman would become a contestant, but she ends up becoming a soldier. And then there's the child with the blood. The man is the father of a girl who has a blood disease, and he's a caricature artist at Seoul Land. And spoiler alert, he gets killed at the very end of the season, and that might be what changes the mind of the North Korean soldier in season 3. We'll see. Anyway,
season 3.
There's going to be they shot season 2 and 3 at the same time.
Oh,
and so season 2 left on a cliffhanger. which I think is what pissed off a lot of people.
Too many spoilers.
Everyone wants everything fast.
We said at the beginning, this is spoiler heavy.
No one wants cliffhangers because I want everything now.
Want everything now. Okay, we had a token scene to catch up on the end of season 1, finding out what happened to the younger brother of the North Korean girl in season 1. He gave to be adopted by the mother of Gi-hun's friend that died in season 1. They just checked on him. He comes in from school and she says, did you eat anything? And he said, oh, I had a hamburger with my friends. And she says, a hamburger is not enough, which that's very Korean to say that. Because you have not eaten rice. That is not a meal.
Yeah. Definitely my wife says that. She can be stuffed to the gills with something, and then she's like, just get a little bit of rice.
Yeah.
Like you just ate so much food.
My ex-wife would just eat hamburgers and pizza, and she's like, no, I'm not full. I haven't had rice yet. This is not a meal.
Even my dad, he would ask me like, did you eat? And I'm like, I had a burger and fries. And he's like, that's a snack.
It's a snack.
It's not considered a meal, and even like people that I used to work with, like higher ups, they would say, is that something that's filling? You need to have rice.
Yeah.
Koreans need to have rice and soup to be,
satiated,
be satisfied.
Yeah. And same thing with when I used to go out for fried chicken as a meal. You're like, what? That's like going out. That's like eating a whole meal of chicken wings, buffalo wings, which people do. But yeah, that's a drinking snack. That's not a meal.
Right. It's sort of funny because my wife will say that after she'll then complain that she's really full and uncomfortable. It's like, well, because you ate a whole bunch of food. No wonder. She's like, oh, I needed rice after. It's like, well, why didn't you eat less of the other food and save room for rice? Now you're complaining about being just bloated. You're full of starch.
It's not just a Korean thing, because a lot of my Filipino friends are like that as well. They need to have, I think even more so than Koreans, my Filipino friends really need to have rice a lot more, which I'm fine with. I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's why Jollibee, you can get these cool packets of rice with your chicken. It's so good. That gravy, that Jollibee chicken gravy with that rice. All right. Anyway. But too bad we don't have Jollibee in Korea. They point out that, as an aside, someone talked about a tuberculosis outbreak. Just Korea has a history with this disease. We have an epidemics episode we did early. That's like our second or third episode.
That's our second episode. Yeah, because that was during COVID. But that episode, because at that episode we mostly talk about the Hwang, which is measles.
So the red flu or the
Hwang, so the red pestilence. Yeah. But measles, but also like seed pox. Yeah. So yeah. Right. That's
tuberculosis still pops up in Korea. I think it was past year. There was a small outbreak somewhere.
There was, yeah. There was some TB. Yeah. That was just last year, wasn't it? In the last the calendar year, of course, but within the last 12 months or so.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
And I think, I wrote, and my gosh, it's been a week since I watched this show, and I forgot who goes to see his cremated wife. Is it the father of the sick girl?
No, it's isn't it the policeman goes to see like the wife of his brother, which is Eva.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. And just pointing out that it's actually law now. No one can be, unless you already have a plot, no one can be buried. Everyone has to be cremated.
No, that's not true. That's a myth. Not true. That's going. No. Okay. Burial is still allowed according to the Act on Funeral Services in Korea. It's just that it's strongly suggested by the government. It's not. I've seen other sources online saying that it is illegal, but it's not according to law.
Okay, okay. I was just, as a friend of mine was, he came to Korea to bury his grandmother and said, she had to be cremated because they said no one's allowed to be buried.
Yeah, no, that's not true. That story, I'm not saying the story isn't true, but what may have happened is that the land that they may have wanted her to be buried in may have been reclaimed, and she wasn't allowed to be buried there. Happened to my wife's grandfather. Yeah, so no burial is still too. Yeah, so there are 4 burial sites in Korea. There's a public, family, clan, and corporate. Those are the 4 cemeteries that are still allowed to be established in Korea.
Corporate cemetery? Yeah. Oh, as
corporate cemeteries. Yeah.
And not where you bury your CEO.
Well, I mean, yeah, people, yeah.
Does Samsung have a cemetery?
Probably. But you also remember things like there are national cemeteries as well, right?
True.
So and people are still buried in national cemeteries.
But we do. I mean, I think of some people listening from countries with lots of land, like America. Like, wow, we don't see many for crematoriums or many places where you see just a stand of places where just the person's cremated. New Orleans, yes, because you can't bury people in New Orleans because of the water table. There's lots of people there. You find the crematoriums there, but not most areas of the U.S. or North America you would see that. But in Korea, it's Shawn, you do a cemetery tour. Hey, let's promote your cemetery tour.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm a tapophile, so I very much follow things like this. So yeah, the last 2 big updates to the act on funeral services were in 2021. There's one in January, another one in the summer, like July or something like that.
Have you been to a crematorium, guys, in Korea? Like, have you seen, like, there's like a window where you can see the entire process? Like,
yep.
Shawn's tour goes right by one at the very beginning.
Yeah, and then we don't go inside.
No, you go inside. Go right by one.
Yeah, no. But yeah, and then there's I sometimes will point it out, but there's a big Buddhist temple there that I mostly point out. But yes, no, I have. But some of the places now, the crematoriums, which are attached to the columbariums generally, because in Korea people don't take ashes home. Generally,
that's what it's called, a columbarium.
A columbarium. That's where that's the charnel house for ashes. And so they will. Yeah, there's a window where you can see the process, but a lot of them now actually pull a curtain down. So once the coffin goes into the fire, a curtain gets pulled down. Some of them you can actually get a private room. So the room can be provided to you, and then you can go up into this private room where they have tables and things like that. You sit on the floor. It's like going to a funeral in Korea. You get
no desire to watch any body being burned.
But we don't watch the body. I mean, you
don't see it.
See it.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, yeah. You just see the coffin go into the fire, and then of course it's an oven, right? So then they have to close the front, and then but some of them now you'll get this private room where whoever the person whose funeral it is, whoever's being cremated, the camera will be on the front of the oven. So you sit in the private room comfortably, and you can look up at the TV and see the front of the oven. Other ones now, if you don't get a private room, you have a small little place where you can sit. It's really, really tiny. You can only really sit comfortably 4 people. And then you'll see the coffin go into the oven. The door closes, then they pull a curtain. So it depends. That's what they do at Incheon, the Incheon Family Park. If there's cremation there, and if you don't get a private room, that's how the cremation is done there. So
I wrote a note on here. Is Seoul University Hospital real?
Yeah, there's a actual hospital called Songnam Citizens Medical Center. That's the same, that hospital.
Okay, that's where the young girl with the blood cancer, that's where she is. Okay, just pointing that one out. All right. So the area where all the troops are meeting.
The North Korean girl, the North Korean guard, right? That's where she gets picked up.
Over Bungan Bridge, the Tancheon parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Next to Jamsil Stadium. Yeah, you can see the trade tower. You wrote down you can see the trade tower in the background between COEX shopping mall and convention center and sports complex, the Olympic sports complex. Now we get a little bit to the Halloween party, just pointing out it's at Noise Basement, which is a real hip hop club. It's the oldest one. It's the oldest one. It's the oldest. It's in Hongdae. It's known as NB2. So I think it's the second location of it.
I was surprised to see how many actual real spots that they used in this in the second season, right?
True, because
Like
Korean dramas they tend to
Park or yeah.
they tend to hide these things. I remember Itaewon Class. The whole place takes in Itaewon, but they changed the names of every place digitally in that show.
I wonder if that was a conscious decision, because Korea has been pushing K entertainment visiting sites for tourism. There's actually in the last 2 years, there's been a push for that. When did Itaewon Class come out? That's 3-4 years ago now?
2000.
Oh, that long ago. Okay.
I mean, 2020. Sorry, 2020.
That's yeah, you're right. 2020. So I wonder if there was a conscious decision to do that in the second season to drive tourism. I don't know.
No, I don't know. Ron and I are going to try really hard to track down some of these places. Topco is the most obvious place. Everything else is kind of.
I mean, if people could find the house that was the outside of the wealthy family's home in Parasite, which is up on a hill in the middle of nowhere. Really,
it's hard to get.
You have to. Yeah, I'm sure they could find any place, and Parasite didn't make any real indication of where that is. No. Definitely, you didn't think it was in Itaewon area. Noksapyeong, I guess technically it's in, right? Yeah. More technically in Noksapyeong, but
it was in Seoul though, or
the house in Parasite. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah. It's easy to. It's easy to get to. It's just not easy to find. So, and those stairs, the famous shot of the stairs. Mm-hmm. People found where that is. Yeah. Right?
They pointed all those out, and Aoge is supposedly where the family lived. The poor family lived.
Right. Even though their home and everything was a set.
It's all set. Yeah.
And the rich home too is a set. The inside and the outside, except for the facade going up to that. That's an actual location where they go and ring the doorbell and stuff like that. That's an actual place, but the inside and the outside, like the garden, that's all a set. And actually, the building is the second floor is CG.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
but they did in Noise Basement NB2. I don't know if they filmed inside. I'm pretty sure that was a set. Where they filmed inside. That had definitely.
That's what it looked like. It's on a basement level.
Yeah, it's basement level.
Yeah.
I think it looked much larger than I think Hongdae clubs typically are.
Yeah. I would go and check it out, but I don't think I can get in. So
I don't think we're allowed in. We're too old to be allowed. I was too old to be allowed in when I first came here 21 years ago. But anyway, it does exist. Noise Basement. Also, they're trying to track. So Gi-hun becomes volunteers to go back into the games, and he's having his team track him down. He has this tracker in his tooth, so they could track him down. And I just followed it down that they went down Sogang Bridge to Yeouido. Again, Yeouido is the financial center, one of the financial centers of Seoul. And that's where they had some of the pink soldiers as snipers on top of the buildings shooting out tires of cars. That was kind of weird, kind of unrealistic. And that's how we end episode 1. Was all of
Episode
that.
Episode
2.
We're
Part
in
one
the
of the
part 1 of our episode.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
But episode 2 of Squid Game 2, episode 1 of our talk of Squid Game 2. All right.
What?
I'm just going to do our closing. Just pointing out, we have our comics, our Dark Side of Seoul comics. You can find them over at Dyson Comics Cafe near Jjajangmyeon Station in Seoul, or you can order them online at darksideofseoul.com.
You said that Jjajangmyeon Station is featured in the.
Is it?
You mentioned it. It's on the list.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So you can go to Jjajangmyeon Station to where I guess one of these episodes was filmed, and then go visit Dyson Comics Cafe.
There you go. The Dark Side of Soul podcast is produced by Joe McPherson, Shawn Morrissey, and Ron Chang.
Okay.
Our opening and closing music is by Sardak Sound, which you can find on Bandcamp under Jeju Digital. Until next time, stay spooky.
Good night.
Good night.